Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to answer the question, what is a lever insert for? And a lever insert is generally a piece of plastic. I've seen them that were a little more sophisticated on certain types of locks, meaning that they're metal. I may have seen them a combination of metal and plastic, but generally they're plastic. And it's a very inexpensive part that you actually may be tempted to throw away if you're not familiar with them and what they do. But don't throw them away. Your operation, or your proper operation of your lock is dependent on it. So in a lever lock, and this is just a generic lock that I happen to have close within reach that we'll use to demonstrate that, the lever insert is sitting inside of here. It's a piece of black plastic on this lock. That we have. And to illustrate what it is, I'm going to remove the lever from this lock. Okay. And there it is. Right inside of there. This black piece of plastic. So the way that I get those out is I'll use my finger and just push on the face of the cylinder, and the cylinder will come out. Okay, but so will the lever insert. Now, there are different shapes by different manufacturers, but they all do the same thing. That lever insert, basically, its job is to keep the cylinder in place. And without the cylinder in place, the lock's not going to work correctly. Let's get that put back in place. Okay, so this is going to fit right back inside of here on this type of lock, but they all do the same job, and it's basically just going to pressure fit inside of there. And that's going to keep that cylinder from moving inside of the trim. You might find it easier to put the key in the face of the cylinder as well to keep it as a handle, but there it is. So when I put this back onto the chassis, making sure that it, of course, does not fall out. Okay, so that's seated back on. Now, it basically also just closes off this area. But you'll notice that the cylinder is fairly rigid inside. It's in its final position in the lever. It doesn't move. So when I remove that lever again from the door, from the chassis, I'm just going to remove the lever insert and put that back onto the door, or onto the chassis, forgive me. Now you'll notice that the cylinder certainly stays in place. It doesn't move, but sometimes they do move without that lever insert. This design does not require it, but there are other designs. So this design, you all of a sudden do not have a way to conceal that off. Other designs are long enough that they'll end up hitting the back of the they will end up hitting the back of the lever and completely filling that area, because this portion of the lever will make contact with the inside chassis of the lock. And when it's all put on, without that lever insert, I would be able to push on the face of the cylinder, and the cylinder would actually move inside of the cavity of the trim. So the lever insert is a cosmetic piece of equipment, but in certain lock types, without it, your cylinder will not stay in place inside of the lever. But lever inserts also will exist in knob trim as well. So what you'll end up finding out is that when people have a lock and they do some locksmithing work, and maybe the lever insert becomes lost, or the lock is reassembled without it, and you find that that cylinder slops far too much within the trim, and then, you know, upon further investigation, you really begin to realize that you have to have that lever insert. This lock is going to work without it, but as I said earlier, they're certainly not intended to. And while it may seem to be a bit extreme to make the following argument, on a fire-rated door, the trick question is, if the door closer is missing its plastic cover, is the door still fire-rated? The answer is it's not. The absence of that plastic cover on the closer relegates the door closer to an installation that is other than what's published in the installation instructions. The criteria for a fire-rated door is you must install it. And this lock, I'm sure on its latch bolt, has a UL or a lowercase f or an uppercase letter F, which indicates its fire rating. The fact that it is compliant with a listed and labeled product. The criteria that is being used when you're auditing hardware is that, is it installed per the installation instructions? Certainly the installation instructions call for that lever insert to be in there. Otherwise they wouldn't include the part with the lock, meaning it's required. So if you need lever inserts, you're missing them, you'll probably want to get them. And if you have any other questions on the anatomy of a cylindrical lock, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.